So we had a issue with Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, the live stream and Wi-Fi in the live stream. So it's not going to be live streamed this time. They usually are, but not this one. But this one will be recorded and will still be available on YouTube. So welcome, and thank you guys for your patience. I am Susan, and you are in TechSoup Global. And for those of you, welcome, and there's seats up here. There's a seat there. For those of you who don't know, TechSoup is a San Francisco-based nonprofit. We started in 1987, as you can see from the wall behind you. And it's actually no longer the 25th anniversary, it's now the 27th anniversary. But TechSoup is a San Francisco-based nonprofit. We are global. We help nonprofits and libraries get their technology, products, and solutions that they need to better achieve their missions. That program, we have products from major donors like Microsoft, Cisco, Symantec, Adobe, and Intuit. And we pass those those donations along to nonprofits. Nonprofits who are 501c3 can get our products through the TechSoup distribution engine, and that is a little social enterprise. We are a nonprofit, and that social enterprise within our nonprofit funds the rest of our programs, which have to do with education, helping nonprofits do what they need to do to make the world a better place. And one of those programs is the program that I work for, which is Caravan Studios. The Caravan Studios group, we actually launched a little bit under 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. And Caravan Studios, this is our CEO, Marnie. And Caravan Studios focuses on building apps for nonprofits. So whereas TechSoup really focused on sharing technology solutions that were built by other companies with nonprofits and showing them how to use them, Caravan, we're actually building apps from the ground up for nonprofits, not specific apps for specific orgs, but really talking to groups of orgs and finding out what the problems that they were facing were and figuring out what technology interventions we could apply to basically build apps to help them with the issues that they're facing. So we have 3 apps in the marketplace right now, and we have Safe Night. You can see there is a poster right here, Safe Night, and you can go to safenightapp.org to find out more about Safe Night. And Safe Night essentially helps to crowdfund hotel rooms for victims of domestic violence and human trafficking when there are no available shelter beds. Our second app is called Range, and you can find out more about Range at rangeapp.org. And Range is an app that helps locate a free meal for youth in the summer months nearby. So if you open up the app, it kind of looks like Yelp, and it will tell you where there is free food, not where you can apply for a program to find food down the road, but where you can find a free meal right now. For example, like at a Boys and Girls Club or a library, and that app is mainly meant for people who talk to youth, not for the youth to use, but like librarians and bus drivers and teachers, because they get asked that question often in the summer months, because actually 1 in 6 kids goes without food in the summer months because they rely on the school lunches program. So that's Range. And the third app, we are kind of, it's in a beta testing. It's not necessarily out in the open yet, but we, 4 Bells. And 4 Bells is an app that helps deploy known volunteers in times of urgent need. So it's an app that helps deploy known volunteers in like situations of emergency, for example. And that's actually not at 4bellsapp.org. That one's actually at 4bells.org. But all of them are at caravanstudios.org. So you can learn more about our apps. And we are at Caravan Studios on Twitter. And I am at Suze Boop on Twitter. And the volunteers, I want the volunteers to raise their hands. That's that girl Crystal on Twitter. That's Regina Walton on Twitter. This is Zach, who is at Time Doctor on Twitter. At Gregory Elgo. Mia Costi in the front, Dorothy. Do we have any other volunteers in the house? Ravi, but he's out dealing with somebody's key lockout situation. So we have a handful of volunteers. We're a monthly meetup. If you haven't signed up already on meetup.com, it's meetup.com/OCTribe. Mark Williams is also a volunteer. And we are always looking for volunteers and speakers. Today, we have a speaker from Adobe, but before we introduce Lauren, I just wanted to see if there's anyone in the room who has jobs to announce. Shari. Here.
Hi, is it on? Yep. Hi everyone, I'm Shari. I'm the Director of Engagement at Volunteer Match. These are not exactly community management jobs, but everything we do with engagement requires community management skills. One is a content marketing internship, and one is a business development and marketing paid position. And like I said, both require pretty strong community management skills. So if anyone is interested in either of these or knows someone who might be interested, let me know. We are unofficially recruiting for both. So thanks.
I know you, but is there someone anyone else in the room that has a job announcement? Who is looking for work right now? Raise your hand. See these beautiful, smart people. Who is just looking for gigs or gigs? You can also be looking for work and gigs. Who's looking for gigs? Okay. So we have a hashtag for this group, OCTribe, which is the online community tribe. If you use this hashtag, your tweet will show up here. But also, after the meetup, it's our kind of glue for this community. So if you want to use that hashtag, the people who are in this community will see your tweet, because most of us have it set up already. Other than that, I want to thank our sponsors, Pura Vida Tequila and Iron Cactus. So you guys can tweet out at them and thank them. They're very generous. And Louis has a couple of job announcements.
One announcement, TechSoup, where I work, we received 50 passes to BoxWorks conference. These are $1,000 tickets, and I'm going to tweet the code that you'll get for free, 100% discount. There are 50 of them. So I'll put that on the OCTribe stream as soon as I hand this back to Susan. And tell your friends.
And we also, Richard Millington, who is in England, he's Fever Bee, is having a conference, and he has a discount code, which I have forgotten. So I will send it around on the hashtag. So with that, it's like 25% off to it, and I think it expires this Friday. So I will make sure that I tweet it out. And that is October. October's meetup is going to be, he's actually sponsoring we're just going to have a community happy hour in October. And August, next month, is Baby Center. But today, we have Lauren Friedman from Adobe, who is the head of Global Social Business. Is that correct? Sorry. I almost memorized it. The head of Global Social Business Enablement at Adobe. And she's going to talk to us about targeting the right folks on Twitter. So thank you very much, and give it up.
Hi everyone. You guys, it's after 5. You can be a little bit louder, right? Hi everyone. That's better. So as Susan mentioned, my name is Lauren Friedman, and I run social business enablement at Adobe. So that's a big title, and I'll tell you what it means. I work to infuse social media into every aspect of the way that Adobe does business. So beyond just marketing and advertising, we work to enable all employees to be active on social media, as well as infusing and integrating social media into every part of the org. So working with sales and IT and people resources to make sure that everyone's using social media to achieve their business objectives. If you're on Twitter, I've already got a bunch of tweets. You guys are tweeters. And my Twitter handle is @LaurenHannah. A little bit more about me. Since I've known kind of what I wanted to do in life since the 5th grade, which for a lot of people is strange, but for many other people it's not, like me. I've always known that I wanted to be a writer. And so that's what I did from when I was very, very young, wrote poetry, wrote in journals, was told by my 5th grade teacher that no matter what I did in life, I needed to write. So I followed that trajectory. And that's really kind of how I started in social media. I was the editor-in-chief of our school paper in college, and kind of transitioned from print to digital, and then digital to social, and that's really how I got into this industry. I fell in love with San Francisco, moved here to join a very small startup called Context Optional. It was a social media marketing company that was acquired by Adobe in 2011. So that's how I ended up at Adobe. I spend way too much time on social media, day and night, all the time. So I guess I am in the right role. You know, working in social media, loving social media. All right, enough about me. Here is what we are going to do today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the value of social media, although I think that you guys all probably know the value, but I have a neat video that I do want to show you, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. We'll talk a little bit about creating a strategic framework for social media. So going beyond just how to target the right people and, you know, really how are you building that into your overarching strategic framework. Then, of course, targeting the right people on Twitter, identifying the right audience is kind of how we'll start that conversation. We'll talk a little bit about paid, earned, and owned content, what it is and how you can use it, and measuring success. Sounds like a lot to cover, right? Yeah? We'll do it. We'll dive right in. Okay, so we'll start with a quick video. And this isn't meant to be any sort of Adobe plug, but one of the programs that I am working on is rolling out what we're calling the Social Shift social media training program, which is enabling all employees to be active on social. So working to train every single employee on how to use social media on behalf of the brand. And we have a pretty cool video that I just want to show that has a lot of really great stats in it about the power of social media and the impact that it can make. Let's see if it works. So that's just a little bit more about the Social Shift training program, but I think some of the stats in there are really, really powerful for how you know, many people there are on social media and what an impact social has on our business. So let's talk about creating a strategic framework for social media, which is showing up really nicely for you all. It's not even showing up on these slides. I'm going to read it, if you don't mind, from the actual slides that are working. So first question that you ask in creating a strategic framework for social media is, what are your business objectives? Identifying your business objectives and what you're trying to accomplish, making sure that those are tied to what the organization is trying to accomplish, because social is really just a layer and a way for you to achieve those business objectives. Who is your target audience, which is where we'll focus most of our time today? What is your engagement approach? What is your content plan? And how will you measure success and optimize? Let's see if there we go. Yay. So those are really the key 5 aspects of a strategic framework in social. And this is how we train all of our employees to really build out their social strategies. So we'll spend most of the time talking about your target audience. So let's dive in. These are a bunch of questions. So when you're thinking about your target audience on social media, you don't need to start from scratch. That's really the biggest takeaway, is think about who your customers are now and ask yourself some of these questions. So who are they? Are they male? Are they female? Are they moms, dads, students, kids? Who is that audience? Thinking about that demographic will help determine who your audience is on social. Ask yourself how you currently engage with them. So again, not starting from scratch. How are you currently engaging with your audience? Are you emailing them? Are you calling them? Are you sending them to events? Are there community forums? Are you engaging with them on a purely customer service level? So asking how you currently engage with them will help identify who they are and how you should engage with them on social. Where are they active? So there's a big common misconception that every brand should have a Facebook page and every brand should have a Twitter account and every brand should have a LinkedIn presence, and that's just not the case. You need to go where your customers are. So where are they? Identify the key platforms that they're already participating in, because really one of the most powerful things that you can do on social is tap into existing behaviors. So you don't want to be driving people to do something that's unnatural to them. So go where they are. Ask yourself, who do they trust? Identify influencers, people that they trust in the industry, within the organization, their friends, and understand who they trust and how you can be trusted as well. Create Twitter lists, follow key influencers to really kind of see what conversation and engagement is already happening. Next question that you can ask is, what is their sentiment? What's their sentiment not just towards your brand or your company? What's their sentiment within the industry? For example, Adobe has an Adobe Social product, and I actually used to manage their Twitter account. So I came from my first job was community manager, and was managing the Adobe Social Twitter account. And one of the things that we did was, listen to the broader social media marketing conversation. And we learned that, no big brands were excited about any of the other solutions. So it gave us an opportunity to, figure out what their pain points were and how we could address them. So listen beyond just, your company's sentiment, the sentiment around your company, and also towards other brands and towards the industry. Next question to ask yourself is, how do they engage with us? So again, going back to tapping into existing behavior, how are they already talking to us? Are they tweeting at us? Are they starting Facebook pages without us? Are they commenting on things? Are they using forums? Are they calling us? What are they doing so that we can make sure that we're there for them? Now let's talk Twitter. Twitter is one of my favorite platforms. It's probably the platform that I spend the most amount of time on. Facebook I generally use to just stalk old friends, right? Can we all relate to that? Yeah? See wedding photos. Oh, so-and-so had a baby, right? But Twitter is a little bit more exciting for me. So on Twitter, one of I think the most powerful things you can do on Twitter is use their advertising platform. And it has some incredible targeting functionality to make sure that you are getting the right message to the right people. So you can target your followers with pieces of content. You can reach the users that have actively chosen to follow you on Twitter for updates and that want to hear from you. You can target users that are like your followers. So people that have, they're tweeting about similar things, they have similar bios, they're in similar locations. They might be, if your general audience, the people that follow you, are more skewed towards the male demographic, then Twitter will target people that are like your followers. And also that have similar interests. So that's incredibly powerful because you're, creating the ability to target people that are like the people that already like you. You can create tailored audiences. So these are really cool, and Facebook actually just came out with something very similar, which is you can upload a list of email addresses and upload your own data and reach the people from that data on Twitter. Which is pretty powerful. On Facebook, they also have a lookalike audience, which is very similar to Twitter's users like your followers. So you can upload, yeah, do you have a question? Yep, yep. Cool. Yep, for sure. Thanks. So create your audiences based on cookie IDs, email addresses from your CRM, or Twitter user IDs. You can also target people based on keywords in search. So if you're a grocery brand, for example, one of my old clients was Safeway, and we would target people that were interested in or that were searching for recipes, food, summer vegetables, spaghetti. You can target people that are talking about and searching for content that has those specific keywords. You can also target keywords in timeline. So while interest targeting focuses on the who, keyword targeting gets brands closer to when, so brands can enter into relevant conversations at the right moment. Keyword targeting delivers messages to users based on what they've recently tweeted or if they've engaged with tweets including specific keywords. So that's targeting users within their timeline. You can target by interest, so very similar to targeting keywords in search. You can target by people's interests, people that are interested in food or travel or wine or animals. You can target people specifically that way as well. And TV, which is pretty exciting stuff. Twitter actually just kind of rolled out some of their TV support. There are two types of TV targeting you can do on Twitter. The first is TV ad targeting, and then there's TV conversation targeting. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, almost all of the television shows now, especially on ABC Family, have hashtags that people can follow along. So TV ad targeting allows you to start the conversation on Twitter with your commercials and then continue it, start the conversation on TV with your commercials and then you can continue the conversation on Twitter. With TV conversation targeting, you can deliver tweets to people that are specifically targeting or talking about your TV show. Obviously with location, gender, language, and device, those are all also really powerful ways that you can target people, especially device. I find that one to be pretty cool. You can target, if you have a specific mobile offer or you are launching a mobile app, you can target people that are specifically on that device so that they have a seamless experience moving over. All right, a little bit about paid, earned, and owned, and what it is and how you can leverage it as content on your social channels. So owned content, what? That's your website, your mobile site, your blogs, your specific social media pages, and how you can use it. You can produce engaging content, this is a slide from our social media training, so there's Adobe in there. But you can produce engaging content on your owned channels that others will want to share. And another piece of another thing that you can do with your own content is share earned stories on your owned channels. Now, what is earned? Earned content are the mentions. It's the content that you kind of earn from your customers. So they're mentions, user-generated content, shares, other blog posts, reports, reviews. And how you use earned content, you build relationships with your customers and influencers who will then create their own content about you or your company. Paid. Paid is pay per click, display ads, it's the Twitter ad targeting we just talked about, retargeting, paid content promotion, etc. And how you can use that. You can scale your organic content very quickly using paid social. So an example, you can amplify that earned content with paid placements across all social channels and throughout the web. We will talk a little bit about measuring success here and going back to the root, which are your business objectives. There are two ways that we think about metrics at Adobe. First are the counting metrics. These are the ones that I feel a lot of community managers and social media managers get really caught up in. These are the, how many likes did that post get? How many, sorry, I got totally distracted by the Twitter over there, which is awesome. I'm like, I want to read what everyone's saying. So, excellent. Oh, cool. Great. There will be a Storify afterwards, which I'm really excited about. Okay, cool, because I just got totally distracted. So two types of metrics that we think about, counting metrics, which everyone gets distracted by, likes, retweets, views, etc. These metrics show program performance, not business performance. So another way to think about those is those are the marketing metrics. They're still important and they still tell a good story, but they're a little bit more fluffy. They're not quite as valuable, and when CEOs say, okay, well, what's the value of social media? They're not looking for, hey, this is how many likes we got, and we have this many followers. They really want to understand how social media is impacting the business. So then we have outcome metrics. They quantify the impact of social media programs, such as reach, conversion rates, impressions. I know that one of the big metrics that we measure, that we've really kind of just started to measure, is social assists. So we can now measure across Adobe channels when people convert into customers and the last thing that touched them was social, or that they were touched by social at some point in their customer journey. That's a big number, which is great. Touched by social, last touched by social in their journey, yes. Social cycle. So this is the social cycle that we really operate on across Adobe, our social media teams. It's an iterative process. And I think that a lot of teams, and ours included, get kind of stuck in the day-to-day flow and management of your community. You write content, you post the content, you moderate. You write more content, you post the content, you moderate. But what we're really focusing on now is this social cycle, which is creating that content and publishing it, moderating and engaging with the community, measuring against those KPIs, and analyzing and developing insights. That's really the kind of the puzzle piece that gets lost sometimes, is that last piece around analyzing and developing insights, which is, why it's great that this post got X number of likes, or it's great that this post drove X number of people to our website, but why? Why did that happen, and what can you do in the future to make that happen more frequently? Did that post have an image? Was it clever and witty? Did it have a call to action? Asking yourself those kinds of questions so that you can really optimize your content strategy is part of this whole cycle and this whole solution. So start with your strategy, test your content, determine what's working and what isn't working, and adjust that strategy based on the data. So at Adobe, we have weekly updates where we kind of do a little pulse check, like, hey, how's everything going? Did anything crazy happen this week? Did we learn anything cool? And then every month, we have monthly reports where we really dive deeply into, what happened this month versus last month. What did we do differently, and what can we learn from and implement in the next month? And that's it. So just a few key takeaways. I know that I just went through a ton of information. So in summary, building out a strategic plan for your social presence. Ask questions to identify your audience. Understand Twitter's targeting. Paid, earned, and owned content can help take your social presence to the next level. Refer to your business objectives when measuring success, and remember the social cycle, that it is an iterative process. All right, now it's time for questions. Yes. Okay. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of the actual dashboard? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering if I could even just pull up an example, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that one might. I'm also just wondering, I guess we're not live streaming because there might be data. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. But I'll talk through it. So on the, okay. If somebody wants to come over and see it afterwards, I'm happy to show you the back end. Okay. I'm not online. I'll let you do that while I'm talking. I'm not on. Oh, there you go. Okay, so the back end, you generally just log in. You can actually log into ads.twitter.com using the same login that you have. I don't know if, I've really only used Twitter ads on behalf of big brands, so I know that there's a large buy-in if you want to purchase large amounts of Twitter ads. I think that the buy-in right now is like 10K. In order to even have access to the Twitter ads. But there are some, for smaller organizations, I think they have kind of smaller packages around that, and I don't know exactly what those numbers are. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I've only done it for big brands, where they tell us that the buy-in is a lot of money. Oh yeah, there you go. You can look at Lewis over there. So essentially what you do is you can go in and you create campaigns. And one of the things that I always recommend is creating multiple campaigns, even if it's for one promotion. So for example, I'll talk through my Safeway example because it's a good one and it's pretty easy to understand. So for Safeway, we were launching a program called Open Nature. You guys might have heard of it, Open Nature. So it's their all natural. Sorry, I shouldn't put that in quotes. It's their all natural. That was like total Freudian slip. It's their all natural food. Food program, and so they're launching Open Nature, and we are doing a promoted tweets campaign around Open Nature. So we want to target people that are interested in competitors, or that follow competitors like Whole Foods or Cala Foods, or there are a bunch of grocery stores. I'm not thinking of any of them right now, like King Soopers, etc. And so we create a specific campaign that's dedicated to people that are following their competitors. Then we create a different campaign for people that are interested in food and organic and farming and wine and any of those kinds of products that fall into the Open Nature category. So there's an interests campaign there. Then we'll create a campaign that's based on demographics. We want to know whether moms are interacting with our tweets more than dads are. So we'll create 2 separate campaigns to gauge that performance. So one is moms, women, specific age range in the locations where there are stores, and the next campaign is dads, males in a specific age range at their stores. So the reason why we create multiple campaigns is so we can see what's working and what isn't working. Are people that are interested in these topics engaging with our tweets more than women are, more than men are, more than people that are interested in our competitors? So really it's kind of thinking about the measurement aspect of it first. Can you not find it? All right. And so, I'm sorry? Yeah. It should come up in campaigns. You might have to change the date range if there isn't one that's live. And so, going through that process, then what you can do is you can allocate budget. So let's say you have $20 to spend for the month, $40, $50 to spend for the month. You can put, $10 in each of those campaigns and see how it's performing. One of the coolest things I think about Twitter ads is that it's real-time feedback. So unlike, spending thousands of dollars on a billboard that you don't really know whether that works or not and whether people are seeing it or going to your website from that or not. With Twitter, you can know pretty quickly, from a specific tweet, is it working? Are people clicking through? Are people engaging with it? And you could move your money around based on what's working and what isn't working in real time, which is great and a good way to kind of save money. Does that help? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, question? And figuring out what's working and what isn't working? Yes, somewhat. So generally, what we do is we pull all of the data first, and we create line graphs or charts that kind of indicate whether there are peaks and valleys. Oh, am I? Oh, how are you pulling the data from Twitter? Is that what you're? So there are a lot of tools that help you pull data on social media. Some of the free ones depends on whether you're publishing, you want to publish through a specific tool or not. But like TweetDeck has, or I'm sorry, Hootsuite has their analytics side. Buffer has some analytics that you can export and pull them into Excel spreadsheets, or you can just look at the charts and graphs that they provide you with kind of engagement rates. And then what the next step is to look at kind of the peaks and valleys and find out, why, really look deeply into why there is that peak and why there is that valley. So I would recommend using a tool. When you're not using paid, that's kind of the only way that you can get analytics if you don't want to track them manually. There's also Bitly, which tracks click links, obviously. Yeah, Twitter Counter is good. And all of the ones that I mentioned are free, too. I don't know. I haven't used those. Yeah. Yeah. Twitter scans profiles, Twitter scans profiles, usernames, location, even location of the actual tweets, because sometimes that's different than the location that people have in their bio, and their most recent tweets. So you can get pretty accurate with your targeting on Twitter. Mm-hmm.
There aren't any free 30-day trials to do email marketing targeting.
Yeah.
You have to find the email marketing plan and then export through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw more questions. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where does the line kind of? Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. So we have a team that's dedicated to communities. We have a social support team that manages all of our community forums and our community platform where people interact. We are not, be the first to admit, we're not good at proactively moderating external forums. We're aware that lots exist, but we don't do a lot of kind of monitoring them. Obviously, we are always listening. We have a whole measurement team that does a lot of listening. So if our name, comes up across the web, we know about it, and if there's, something that we need to handle, we absolutely will. But our social team primarily focuses on the traditional social networks that you would think of: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Pinterest, yeah. Is correct. Yeah, so we have some of that, but it also depends on the product. So Adobe is a little bit complex in that we have two arms of our business. We have the digital marketing arm and the digital media arm. Media arm, which should really be this one because it's the one that everybody knows about. And our digital media is traditionally what you would know Adobe for, right? The Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Dreamweaver, etc. And digital marketing is a little bit less known. It's the Adobe Social, Adobe Experience Manager, Adobe Target, that kind of work to bring what you create in the Creative Cloud into serving your customers in the Marketing Cloud. So our audiences are very different. Even within, the digital media products, our audiences are very different. The people that are interested in Photoshop might not be interested in, I was going to say Illustrator, but that was a silly comparison. Might not be interested in some of our other digital media products. So our audiences are different, and they're kind of spread out a little bit. I know that we do get, some of our products that have video tutorials. For example, we have an evangelist that works on our Photoshop and Illustrator team, and she posts how-tos, tips, tricks, and tutorials on her blog, and that gets a ton of engagement. So those kinds of like video tutorials, depending on what the product is, and for Photoshop and Lightroom, not Illustrator, excuse me, she has an incredible following because that kind of community is ripe for those specific products. So long story short, it depends. Yeah. Adobe Social. So as far as free tools go, I think across the web is difficult. I think that a lot of people I know before we had Adobe Social or Context Optional used Google Alerts a lot, which is setting up a separate email address so it's not freaking out your inbox. Yep. Yeah, Hootsuite isn't. Yeah, and TweetDeck is really good for tweets too. If you type in specific keywords or hashtags. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. So Twitter is what I think is the most successful targeting platform. Seen a lot of success, especially I was managing clients before I moved into this role, and Safeway, go back to Safeway, also did it for Levi's, and it's many times it's much more successful than Facebook, which Facebook has moved kind of away from organic content performing well at all, and it's kind of moved into this whole you got to pay to play, which is what we're finding, and a lot of other brands are finding, is that Facebook is kind of a little bit less desirable, and you need to pay in order to even reach the people that already like your page. And we see a lot of really, really good results on Twitter, but it also depends on what you're promoting. So, for event registration, Twitter is really, really great. For, promote it like a launch of a new product or a release on a product, Twitter is great. You want to drive people to that page to learn more information, drive people. Basically, Twitter is really great when you want to promote something that takes them off of Twitter. When you have kind of a specific message that you want to get out, Facebook sometimes is good. We also use LinkedIn publishing as well, especially for if you have an audience that's more kind of B2B. LinkedIn advertising has performed really well for us in the past. Yeah. It depends. So, for example, if we have Adobe Max that's coming up, and we will most likely do Twitter paid promotions around Adobe Max. The most important thing that you can do is figure out what you're trying to accomplish. So, what are you going to use social media for to promote that event? Well, we want to drive people to register for that event. So for us, the metric would not only just be click-throughs to that event registration page, but also how many registrations came from that, click-through, which is something that you can track. It depends on, what kind of analytics platform you're using. If you're using a Google Analytics or, you have something like a Site Catalyst or Omniture Adobe products to track links. If you don't, or to track actions after links, if you don't, then I would say yes, click-throughs would be the metric that you want to see. But I think that it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're launching a new product or a new app, then your metric might be around your business objective might be around creating awareness, and your key KPI there would be retweets. Which is, how are we creating awareness? Let's get this in front of as many people as possible. How many retweets can we get, and how many impressions did we get from those retweets? So it all kind of goes back to the goal of why you're using social media to promote what you're promoting, and then determining what that KPI is from there. Does that help? Mm-hmm. Right, and so maybe the goal for that, if you have like a fun fact or something, and your goal around that is to be, considered a thought leader, or to, be considered smart in the space, and you just want to share that quick fact, then maybe your goal is that other people are seeing that you're smart in the space and are sharing that too. So your KPIs might be around retweets and impressions. Yeah. That's a good question that I'm not sure I totally understand. Happy? Okay. If a community is healthy? Yeah. So some of that, I think, comes from measuring sentiment. What we were talking about with identifying, sorry, now I'm in front of this projector, about identifying when you're looking for your target audience, understanding their sentiment and how they feel within the industry. But also, to measure your own kind of community health, I would say sentiment is probably a huge KPI there. To see, are people talking about you and with you in a positive way, in a more kind of neutral way, or in a negative way? And if they're talking to you or at you in a negative way, then it's time to kind of think about, well, how can we turn this sentiment around? How can we engage with our community in a better, more positive way to kind of nurture it back to a happy state? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd be interested in learning more about that happy, though. Could you tweet me a link to it? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Okay. Hi, Jenna. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Adobe has kind of an interesting philosophy when it comes to social media and employee engagement, which is part of the reason why I stayed at Adobe and changed roles into this role, because I was really kind of inspired by the open philosophy. So a lot of times now brands are basically afraid of social media. And they're telling their employees, you can't tweet about us. If you tweet about us, you need to make sure that you're very politically correct and buttoned up and corporate, and you can't tweet pictures of your family. And they're talking about, everything that you can and cannot do on social media. Adobe has, like I said, a very open philosophy to social media. We are believing in the power of education as helping to empower and enable all of our employees to be active on social on behalf of the brand. There has been a lot of data recently around how the average employee is trusted way more than a chief executive, than somebody that is kind of paid to push the brand message. That average employees are trusted far more than those types of people. And so we're kind of choosing to capitalize on that data. You can look at the Edelman Trust Barometer from 2014, where Edelman releases a survey to find out who customers trust at large organizations, and in almost every single category, the company's employee wins. So we're really starting internally and empowering and engaging and enabling our employees to be active on social on behalf of the brand. Now, with that is education, is the education piece, which to many of us probably seems a little bit like common sense. Some of the questions I get are very like, did you ask that? But it's, so we do have guidelines. We have FTC guidelines for disclosure and what you need to disclose if you're going to act on behalf of the brand. We have general best practices, and we're teaching through example. So we have a lot of examples of where people went wrong. And usually that's really kind of how they get the message. It's like, oh, we need to be respectful to our competitors, or, oh, this is what could happen if we publicly bash our brand. So kind of educating through examples and spreading that word around. We're hoping that people will be active online about Adobe and what it's like to work there, because it can really impact every part of the organization. Yeah, just kind of focusing on empowering internally. So it's that, but we're also encouraging people to interact with our customers online. We've got one guy, Justin Mass, who dubs his Mondays as Gratitude Mondays, and he spends about an hour or 2 hours every day searching on Twitter for the words love and Adobe, and thanking our customers for being Adobe customers, and providing them with additional resources. There are a lot of resources that exist at Adobe that our customers don't know about, like tutorials and trainings and things that our customers don't know about, but we do as employees. So as a collective, how can we help, bring that knowledge to our customers and increase that experience? And a social media team, my goal is in 5 years, I won't have a job. That my job now is enabling the employee base, and in 5 years, hopefully sooner, but we'll see, the whole employee base is enabled, and I'm kind of working myself out of a job. Yeah. I'll come to you guys. Cool. Okay. Yeah. And thank you so much. Thank you. Good.
Thank all of you so much for coming. Please eat and drink because we have a lot of food and booze over there. That's what it's there for. And we will see you next month. Next month will be, I don't know what the actual date is, but as usual, it will be the 4th Wednesday. And the speaker will be Baby Center, the community manager of Baby Center. And you wouldn't think about it, but if you really think about it, there are millions of moms who want to join online communities right before they have a baby. So it's going to be a pretty interesting, lively discussion. Look for that. And if you are on the Meetup site, you will receive an email with the Storyfy that one of the fabulous volunteers will do. And thank you guys so much. See you soon.